Hello again, everyone. Today we're going to talk about assignment number 2. And so I am going to share my screen with you and show you what we are going to do today. And so here we have the assignment we did last time. We have a JPEG of an image that has 2 layers. One is a global adjustment layer that adjusted the whole image. And the other one is a selective adjustment layer that adjusted only part of the image, in this case, the dog. So we're going to talk about the second part of fixing this image. And as you can probably notice, there is a problem with the color of this image as well as with the exposure. So the exposure has already been fixed here, as you can see. The dog is looking a lot brighter, and the shadows are open, but the highlights aren't blown. So that is exactly where we need to be. And so now what we need to do is we need to fix the color of this image. And so what we're going to do is we're going to launch another adjustment layer. Just a reminder that these shortcuts that we have over here, when you click on one of these shortcuts, it creates an adjustment layer for you. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And for this adjustment, what we're going to use is the color balance adjustment layer. Okay, so we're going to click on the color balance right here. This is the color balance adjustment layer shortcut, and this is what we are going to get. Okay, in this case, what we are going to do is we're just going to leave the tones in midtones, because if you notice, the whole image has a color cast. If, for example, only the shadows had like sort of a bluish tint, which is typical of shadows, then we can go in here and fix the shadows. Or, on the other hand, if the highlights were the issue, where only the highlights had a color problem, then you can come in here and select highlights and fix that issue with the highlights. But in this case, when you have an image that suffers across the board from significant color issues, it is a lot better to start with the midtones. And then if something pops up later, you can fix it in either the shadows or the highlights. But in a high percentage of images, if you fix the midtones, that should be enough. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to analyze what the issue with the image is. And again, I know that we have different monitors, but and they usually display a little bit different colors. But I'm hoping that everybody can see that this image is very yellow. Again, remember that there are 2 types of color in this image. There is the color that is very useful to us, and the color that doesn't help us at all. So, for example, the wall and this fabric that is in front of the dog doesn't help us at all, because we don't know the color unless you've been in this room, and unless you've seen the walls in this room, it doesn't help us because we don't know what color that is. But what I am assuming is that everybody has seen a dog, and in this case, this is her fur is white. And you guys understand that, a dog being white doesn't mean that it's going to be pure white. It's going to be off-white. But if you notice, there is a tremendous amount of yellow across the board in terms of the white fur of the dog, okay? So once we have identified the main offender, in this case, it's yellow, we are going to deal with that color first. So if you come up here, okay. And by the way, we are not going to preserve luminosity. I'm going to explain that later. This is very important later. For the time being, please leave that preserve luminosity unchecked. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to do, again, that pendulum motion that we were talking before. So we're going to make it even more yellow so you guys can see how yellow everything turns. And then we're going to go in the opposite direction, and you guys can see how blue everything in the image turns. And so making those pendulum shifts a little bit narrower, we can come to a point where we can still see the image moving, the color changing, but it's going to be closer to what we are looking for. And in this case, if I look at the fur of the dog, it's got a lot less yellow than before. And to confirm that, please remember this little eyeball icon on your dialog turns the layer off and on again. And if you guys notice the difference, that has a lot of yellow, and this one has less yellow than the one without the adjustment. Okay, very, very important. Now, if you notice, the second color that is a little bit of an issue is in these areas here and in these darker areas of the white. You can probably notice that there is a little bit of magenta color showing up, a little bit red magenta showing up. So again, we're going to go to the next slider up, and this is the magenta green, and we're going to do again the pendulum motion. We're going to go from one side, turn it very, very magenta, and then we're going to go to the other side, and you can see that it's very green. Again, the pendulum motion is going to be narrower until we can see a point where that magenta is disappearing. And now I am feeling a lot better about the color of the dog. And look at the difference between that and this. You guys notice how a lot of the orange tones and a lot of the yellowish tones that we had on the fur are disappearing with this adjustment. And this is a more neutral image. Remember that when we are talking about a neutral image, it means an image that has no color cast. Okay. And in this case, I think that this is a lot closer to being a neutral image. So look at the first image when we started, and look at the image now after we've processed the color in this image. Okay. So what I need you to do is to do a global adjustment with the color, fixing the issues that we are having with the dog specifically. Again, if you notice, everything is changing, not only the dog, but everything is changing. And now that we have fixed the color of the dog, you can see that the walls in the back were also very, very yellow, of course, to be expected, because this image overall is very yellow. But look at when you fix the color of something that you know, the rest of the colors that you don't know about will fall in place. Okay. I hope that makes sense, but so we are going to discuss selective color next, but for this assignment, the only thing that I need you to do is to understand how to correct a color cast on an image. Okay, so using the same image that we used before with the adjustment that we already applied to that image, we are going to correct the color by launching. Using these shortcuts here, we are going to launch the color balance adjustment, and we are going to fix it so that it looks this way. Okay? Please let me know if you have any questions. And by the way, there was a question about how to save as a JPEG. This image is already a JPEG. Just in case you were wondering, in this, what all you need to do is save this image. What I recommend is to download this image to your desktop or anything, any other place that is very accessible to you and easy to find. Download the image or move it from the folder where it is or whatever. Move it to your desktop so that you can keep progressing with this image. There's a couple of things that we're going to do with this image after we're done with the color. But if you need to save it as the different format, the way to do it is to go to File up here, and then to go to Save a Copy. And this is very, very important because they changed the way that the Save As command operates. If you want to make absolutely sure that you're going to get all the formats that are available for this image, for example, in this case, you can see that it's going to be saved as a JPEG. But we have all these other formats that are available. If you wanted, which we are going to discuss later, by the way, if you wanted to save this image in a non-destructive format, this is how you do it. You can either choose a Photoshop format, or another one that we are going to discuss is the TIFF format. Okay, and then this is going to have the same name, except it's going to have the word copy after it. Okay, let me just go ahead and cancel. So if you guys have any questions about saving the image or opening the image or anything that we've done so far, please send me an email and I will respond to you as soon as I can. I apologize. There is a couple of emails that I have not been able to answer yet. We had an sort of an emergency this weekend, and I'm just getting into it right now. So I apologize about that, but I will answer them as soon as possible after the class. Okay, so please watch the video and do the assignment and submit it in the same way that you did the first one. If you are having problems submitting that image, please let me know and send me that image via email, okay? And I will credit you for the assignment. I do understand that sometimes when you're trying to upload an image to Canvas, it can be a little bit tricky. If for whatever reason you are having problems uploading that image to Canvas, attach it to an email and send it to me, and that counts as an assignment also, okay? I also wanted to say that there are, remember that there are deadlines for the assignments, and you're going to lose points after. If you submit the assignment late, unless you've talked to me prior, you're going to lose points for that assignment. So please make sure to submit the assignments in time. I'm giving you 5 days to submit the assignment. If that is not enough, if there is an issue, please email me and we can talk about that, okay? These assignments are fairly easy and quick to do, and they're going to get a little bit more complicated after we get more comfortable with some of the basic commands that I'm teaching you. But for the time being, the assignment should be fairly easy to do. Again, please remember, send me an email if you need to meet with me or if you have some questions about what we've done so far. All right. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day, and I will wait for your assignments, and I will see you next video.